Hey there, it's Carrie Rhodes here. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. In today's paper crafting video, we are looking at the brand new Pressed Posies collection from Spellbinders. So many cool new things they have for using with your Betterpress plates. So let's jump in and look at this collection, or at least the parts I have of the collection. First up is this plate set. It's a sealed cord and faux seal collection. There is a die that cuts out these words to give you that faux wax seal look that you can put in the middle of this cord that you're going to press into your paper. We'll be using this a couple different ways in today's video on two different cards. You can put it landscape or portrait on your card, and there is actually a wax seal in this collection called Timeless Blooms. I'll be using that too. Next up is my favorite of this collection. I'm super excited because this is a Betterpress plate set with coordinating dies. Yes, it's the flower stems collection. There are 3 flowers, 2 branches of leaves, and a die to cut out all 5 of those things. So we're going to use this also a couple different ways. Next up is a backdrop. This is the Cosmos Backdrop Betterpress plate. So you can press this into your paper, but it comes with a coordinating stencil set. So you can color this by using these 5 layering stencils. It's all so much fun, but there are 3 other things in this collection that I don't have. First up is the sealed florals, then the A Friend Like You, and then last there's a sentiment set with dies called You Are Everything. So you can use those other flowers and sentiments on and with these things. Okay, so here's the Betterpress system. It's a plate with this cover, and then you're going to take your paper like I have here. This is the cotton paper from Spellbinders, a specialty paper that is like a little bit more squishy than other paper, like, you know, squishier than cardstock, similar to watercolor paper, and it's going to allow you to really press into that paper. I've put the plates I want to press into this paper onto the magnetic sheet part of the platform, and then I have taped my paper down to the top part, that clear plastic cover, and that is going to magnet over the top of this. And now I'm just inking up those plates with Bark Betterpress ink from Spellbinders, and you want to press and twist that ink in. It might make a little bit of a mess, but you don't have to worry about the mess, because when this presses, it's only going to touch the plates. It's not actually going to touch the background that the plates are sitting on, so the only ink that transfers is this right here, unless you get a little fiber from your ink pad. That did transfer. Okay, so to clean off your plates, I have the archival ink cleaner I am brushing on. You want to let that sit for a minute, and then you can rub off the cleaner. After you rub off the cleaner, you want a wet wipe or a wet cloth to clean the cleaner off of the plates. You can do the same thing with your platform pieces. Now here you can see I'm taking this apart to show you there are shims you can put under that magnetic plate. Now all of these things, this platform, these plates, they have fancy names. I just don't know them. Okay, I did the 2 leaf like branches and then an extra flower on a second sheet, and I just wanted to give you an up close look at how amazing the Betterpress is. It's kind of hard to see on camera how it presses into the paper and the cool detail that gives it. Then I set to die cutting out all these things. Here you can see them die cut out. I'm in love with Betterpress flowers and then die cutting them out. I'm so excited about this, and there's going to be more of these kinds of things coming out with Spellbinders and their Betterpress offerings. Okay, I decided to color my flowers and my leaves in with colored pencils, and I found this very satisfying to do, and the cotton paper accepts the pencils very nicely. I was able to blend those together very easily, so I'm loving it, coloring these out with colored pencils. So I chose the colors that I chose for my flowers today based on one of my favorite things, and that is a collection of dishes that I inherited from my great-grandmother. They're the desert rose dishes. If you don't know what they are, you can Google them. I recently antiqued and filled in my collection with a few missing pieces, so I'm super excited about that. Plus my uncle found them for me at a shop in Reno, Nevada, and I got them there and was able to bring them home. So it's all very exciting. It's fresh in my mind. And so I had to color my flowers and make my cards today inspired by those dishes. So here you can see what all of them look like colored up. I just did two different shades of each color, and I love how they turned out. I am now taking some antique linen distress oxide ink, and I'm going to make a little shadow around the edge of this paper. It's just a 4" by 5¼ piece of white cardstock, and you can see I'm just kind of starting on my glass mat and working my way onto my paper to give this a soft kind of vignette look. I'm going to clean that off my glass mat, but it is very hard for me to not splatter when I have extra ink on my mat, so I did. And this is going to give you a really soft, splattery look. Then I'm going to do a second layer of that vignette, I'm going to call it. It's so fancy, around the edge of this card with frayed burlap. So I'm just trying to really stay close to the edge and not get too far in so I don't overtake that lighter color. I really want that two-toned effect. And then I wanted some more splatter on there, and I wanted the frayed burlap to be a little bit darker than the watered down. So I put my ink pad directly on the mat and used the splatter that way. Okay, this is another new thing that just came out from Spellbinders. This Must Have Better Seal mix, or wax seal, not better seal. Wax seal. They come in these collections with 4 different colored beads that work well together in this little collection. So this is the pink. There's also a black and gold and silver, and then a teal. There's probably more in this collection, but those are the 3 that I got. And I'm going to have a short video on my channel tomorrow with those so you can see all the different collections. I love the wax seal. It is so fun to do, to melt the little beads, watch them melt, pour it out, press the stamp in there. It's so cool. So I did my first wax seal with this collection with 1 of each color of the beads and poured it straight out. For the second one, I decided to give it a little mix and then pour it. So you could see the difference between them, you know, just gently mixed together by the process of pouring, and then intentionally mixed together by swirling around those beads before you pour them out. So 2 different looks there. They're both amazing. And I'm going to use both of these in today's cards because I love them. Now, to clean off your little pouring tool, you want to do this while it's still warm, but this like gets really, really hot. Don't touch the metal part. Make sure you're using a folded up paper towel there. And then now I am going to put the card together. So I'm taking 1 of the flowers, the largest one, and 1 of those leafy branches, gluing them together to make it more full. I'm going to add that to the center of my card front panel with some liquid glue, and then I'm going to color on my wax seal. Now these are pens that Spellbinders offers. There's a gold and a silver, and you can just use this by, you kind of color with the edge, and you can color gently right on top to help that image really stand out. And there it is. It looks amazing. Now, I am taking inspiration from the Betterpress plate in this set that looks like wrapped cord or wrapped rope, but I am using this twine that is white with some gold flecks in it. I have like, I don't even know, 10 rolls of this from when I used to teach classes. I had a bunch left over, and so I like to use it. You'll see it in my videos a lot. So I wrapped that around, and then I'm taking a large glue dot. I have these left over from a kit. Spellbinders does a lot of kits, and I use that to hold that wax seal down. Now I'm taking the clear stamp of the month from November, which is another product from Spellbinders, and I stamped "For You" right there. It just seemed like the perfect thing. I mounted this onto my A2 size card base with some foam strips to give it a little lift off the card. Next, I'm using these melted icicle, they're like sequins, and they just have, you can see they're like a tint of that kind of antique linen color. And so they go really well with today's cards. I'm going to use them on all of the cards. Plus they're nice and flat, and they're just subtle enough that you can put a bunch on there, which I love. So that completes card number 1. Let's move on to card number 2. I'm going to take all of those images from the Flower Stem Betterpress collection or set, and I'm going to hot foil them because you can hot foil your Betterpress plates. So I put them face up on my preheated Glimmer Hot Foil system. I put copper foil face down onto that and added my cardstock. Now this is a colored craft cardstock, so it is not going to transfer as if you hot foil this onto some smooth white cardstock, but it does a pretty good job. Good enough for my background. I'm going to use this. All right. I'm going to go around the edge, this time with just frayed burlap to darken that up. I'm really kind of going for a shabby chic kind of feel. Once I have that done, I'm taking a dry cloth or paper towel and buffing off any ink that might be sitting on top of the hot foiling. And once again, I refuse to waste that ink. So we'll do a little splattering. And what I like about this splatter is it's going to leave a dark mark wherever there's no ink. And wherever there is that blended ink around the edges, it lightens it. So it's like 2-for-1 splatter. You see that? Ooh, it's gorgeous. Okay, so we're going to move on and put this card together. I'm taking some kind of cotton ribbon. I actually found this at the thrift store. My kids love to thrift, and so I'm always looking for different things I can use in my card making. And a lot of times I find good ribbon at the thrift store. So there's a little tip for you. Check out the ribbon next time you're at the thrift store. All right, I wrapped that around, and next I'm going to add my flower. So this is the second to the largest flower. I'm adding that other leafy stem to the back to, again, make it appear more full. I love this layered look, kind of 3D look of this. I'm going to glue this down. I put plenty of glue on here because I am adding it over the top of that like cottony ribbon. Then I'm going to take the ribbon again and this time make a bow. So I made 2 bunny ears, wrap one around the other, pull them tight, and then whenever I want to adjust this, I'm just going to hold the knot and adjust those bows, and then I can pull it tight when I have it just how I want it. I trimmed off the ends with some really good sharp scissors, and then I'm using those glue dots again to hold down the knot right over the top of that stem of the flower. Oh, it's so cute. Okay, we're going to use the faux wax seal kind of pieces that are from that first set that I showed you, the sealed cord and faux seals. So this says thank you, and I am using a scrap of watercolor paper to do my sentiment, and you can see it presses on there and transfers really well. Now when you die cut this with the provided circle die, it gives you that kind of faux wax seal look that you can use with that sealed cord. But I'm just going to add this on as a sentiment. So there you can see that. And then I'll come back in with those melted icicle sequins and I added a ton on this one. I mean, I just put them like all over. You can see all my dots of glue there. I added more after that. So that is the completed look for the card front. I popped that up onto an A2 size card base that is that same craft color to finish off this card, and it is so pretty. I love the colors. All right, for card number 3, we're pulling in that Cosmos backdrop plate. So this is a full card front size. It's actually a little bit bigger than a card front, which is nice. Now, if you can't get your plates off, you can pick up that magnetic piece and kind of bend it and pick up your plates a little bit easier. I have a hard time sometimes when I have really short nails getting those off. So there's my little tip for you there. All right, I did a little bit lighter ink on this one, also a Betterpress ink, which by the way, Spellbinders is getting ready to come out with 2 new ink color collections for their Betterpress inks, and they are gorgeous, so watch the shop for that. All right, we're going to stencil this out with the coordinating stencils. There are 5 layers to the stencil set, and I'm going to go in order stencil number 1 all the way to stencil number 5. I'm doing some spun sugar ink with a really light hand, and then I'm going to bring in a second color and just do a little bit of like partial stenciling, and that's going to be with a darker color Kitsch Flamingo and a smaller blending brush. So you can see I'm able to just kind of concentrate near the base of those petals. Now the second layer of the stencil is going to do the rest of the petals on these flowers. So I'm going to do the exact same thing, spun sugar with a light hand and my large blending buddy brush. And then my second layer is with the smaller brush and the Kitsch Flamingo ink, keeping the ink really tight and close to the bottom or center of the flower. And that gives it a really kind of highlighted look, like you would get if you were, coloring with the colored pencils like I showed you earlier. You have your darker shadowy area and your lighter highlight area. Third stencil is for the centers of the flowers. I was going to use some mustard seed ink, but I felt like I had plenty of yellow ink left on my blending buddy brush, so I actually didn't add any ink. I just used what was already there. But for the shadow area, I'm coming in with fossilized amber, a little bit darker, and really concentrating on one side of that stencil to give it a shadowy look. And I think this adds the character to these flowers. So let me know what you think when you stencil. Do you like using more than one color? All right, for the leaves, I'm coming in first with Mowed Lawn, and I actually decided I was only going to use Mowed Lawn because, again, I used what was on my brush without any adding of ink. And then for the second layer, I used the Spellbinders little blending brushes. They're like kind of like the size of a pen, and so you can really get into small areas, and some of the leaves on these stencils are teeny tiny, so this brush really gets into those teeny tiny areas and lets me shadow my leaves exactly how I want, and it turned out perfect. These stencils are really easy to line up when you have that Betterpress image already down. And remember, you could hot foil this as well. That looks great. Okay, for my card front, I'm adding a strip of green cardstock through the middle. It's about a 1-inch strip, and then a die cut vellum circle. For my flower, this is the smallest flower image in that flower stem set. I glued down a piece of lightweight chipboard that I had die cut with the same die to give it a little dimension. And now I'm pulling out some ephemera pieces from a previous kit. This one came out in the fall, and I used the word grateful, but I really wanted to use a butterfly from this. I'd only used one of these, and I could not decide, should I put it at the top of the circle or the bottom of the circle or the top or the bottom? I decided the bottom, but today I kind of feel like I should have put it at the top. But they're so, so pretty. If that collection is still available, or even parts of it, I'll link it for you below. The name of it is not coming to me, but it was very fall inspired. And I do have an entire video with that collection too. So I will link that for you at the end of this video. You can check that out next. Okay, here we have the pink card base I mounted it to. You saw me add on those cool sequins, and that finishes up this card number 3. We have one more to go. I wanted to use that Cosmos backdrop plate without any ink. Now I have cleaned this one off, but I could have done a little bit better job. But I wanted to show you, when you don't have room to put the tape on the front of the card, put some bubbles of tape on the back, and then you don't have to worry about not being able to better press that part of it because your tape is in the way. Yeah, okay, so we did that without ink. It's just pressed that image into the paper. I'm going to do a little ink blending over the top with my 2 favorite pinks, the Spun Sugar and Kitsch Flamingo. The Spun Sugar is at the top, so I'm getting an ombre effect where it's dark pink at the bottom and working my way up to that Spun Sugar, so it really just fades out. So pretty. All right, next we have that sealed cord. You can see it is going to go off the edge of that gray magnetic plate. So I decided I didn't want to risk, bending it or anything. So I'm going to use it this way, vertically on my plate. And I'm turning my paper to the side because I want this to be a tall card with that cord going across the bottom. So you'll see what I mean in just a second. I really thought I had this centered also. Not so much, but it's going to work out in the end. So I inked it up with that bark ink, so it's a nice dark brown. You can see it's a little bit off to the left, but I'm going to make it work. I decided after all that hard work of, better pressing that background and doing the ink blending, everything, I would make this work. So I glued down my extra flower, and then for the rope, I used a brown colored pencil to fill in the openings. I felt like the pink was just, it was too fake looking, I needed more. So colored in the rope, added my other wax seal with one of those glue dots. And then for my sentiment, I am using the faux seals, but again, I'm going to use it in a little bit different way, because it's obvious to you when you buy that you can use them as faux wax seals. So I'm going to use this one to make a little tag with this tag die set from Spellbinders, and then I'm going to go over the top of the Betterpress image or sentiment with some green ink, just whatever's on this brush. I didn't add any, and did an ombre effect on this as well, since we've got the ombre background. And yeah, don't waste your glue when you drop your little tag on your mat, right? I added that so it's kind of coming out from under the wax seal. Finished it off with some more of those sequins, and then for this one I mounted it to a white A2 size card base, so you've got that nice white border all the way around. I love that on my cards. So there is card number 4. I'm not kidding, these were so much fun to make. These flowers are gorgeous. They have that slightly vintage vibe, and I just love doing them in brown. But I mean, really think of how many different ways you could make cards with all of these things, and just changing up the colors would give them a completely different look. So this is a fun collection. I am so glad that Spellbinders gave me the opportunity to share it with you. And if you are interested in the products, I have them linked for you below. And I have new videos here all the time on YouTube with stuff from Spellbinders and other companies that I love. So if you're new here, feel free to subscribe, and I can't wait to share my new paper crafting creations with you. I will see you all again very soon on the next video. Happy stamping! Bye!